Welcome to this week's installment of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale with Don Henniger. I'm Don. With me is my podcast partner and a man of all seasons, Kevin Maxwell.
Hello, Dandy Don. How are you?
Man, it's good to see you, Kevin. It's always.
You ever been called Dandy Don before?
I think I was, but it was so long ago I can't remember. Yeah. It takes me back into some old times, though, so I appreciate that. Dandy Donnie.
Dandy Donnie.
Go there, yeah. But hey, we've got a great guest today, and it's appropriate timing wise because as we close down 2022, we know that 2023 is going to be one of the biggest premier events seasons ever in Scottsdale. And with us to preview that today is somebody right in the middle of it all, and Karen Churchard. She's the Events and Tourism Director for the city. Welcome, Karen.
Well, thank you for having me, John.
Glad you could take some time out. I know you're busy right now with all the stuff
busy.
coming up. We're going to get into that in just a second. But first, we're going to take a little look at the news.
Okay, let's do it.
You know, one of the stories that's been in the news lately is the problems that some of the Rio Verde homeowners are having on their water issue.
They're getting down to the wire on that.
End of the year.
Yeah, that's close. That's too close for me.
Clock is ticking.
Yeah.
So there's like 300 to 500 homes that rely strictly on water delivery,
right?
Just to run their households,
and have for years.
Yep. And now they're facing an uncertain because there is a proposal out there by a well-known water company, EPCOR, to send water to them through Scottsdale. So Scottsdale would treat it, and then it would truck it down there to them until they can build the infrastructure to do it themselves, which might take a couple of years. But right now, Scottsdale's not saying yes to that.
All right. Well, going back just a little bit, backtracking just a little bit, the reason why they've been trucking it for years in there, and that Scottsdale was presented with a chance to reduce some water, and there was some concerns about water.
Right.
So the city council said no more water for you, Rio Salado.
Right.
Rio Verde.
Rio Verde. Right.
Right.
But the problem is, EPCOR says we're going to bring the water.
Right.
And all we need you to do is to treat it and send it to them.
So it's an innovative solution because Scottsdale no longer has to give up their water for them.
Right.
But they hold the purse strings or have the ability to be able to pass this new innovative solution that allows EPCOR to deliver water to them.
Good. And now EPCOR is going to pay Scottsdale to do it.
Right.
So there may be even a chance that Scottsdale could make a couple of bucks on it. But for whatever reason, they haven't been able to reach an agreement. So if you're a homeowner, one of those 300 to 500 homeowners in Rio Verde right now, you're saying, oh boy, what's going on?
I don't understand. That's a win-win too, right? I mean, these people not get their water like they've always been used to having, and Scottsdale makes a little bit of money, and it doesn't dip into Scottsdale's reserves.
And they're being good neighbors.
Right. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, you would think. Well, hopefully by the time maybe even we're on the air with this podcast, maybe it's been settled. But right now, there's no settlement, and the future is totally uncertain for everybody down there.
But could you imagine living in a house and think, I don't know if I'm going to have my faucets are going to work in 2 weeks?
Take a shower, drink water.
In 2 weeks, I may be out.
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be scary.
How do you do that? Crazy.
Hopefully somebody will prevail.
I hope so. Hey, some other city news. We'll just kind of close the books, at least for right now, on the current Mercado project there at 94th and Shea, 92nd and Shea. Something's going to happen with that land right there because it's basically halfway vacant now anyway, but it's not going to be the project that has gone through a couple reiterations now, and it finally was defeated by Council 5-2 just a couple days ago.
Well, that thing is just snake bitten, isn't it? That whole project.
It is, yeah, and it's here's the thing I'd wonder, and I don't, if the neighbors didn't like it, fine, but I mean it had a lot of innovative solutions for providing reasonable housing for healthcare workers right across the street at Honor Health. It's a vacant lot right now with a building that's been empty for 10 years, so something is going to go there.
Right.
Just a matter of what.
Right, and talk about how many iterations that building go through at resident request, right?
A whole lot.
Yeah, Caliber went through a lot of effort to make sure that they tried to deliver the project they wanted, but still, no matter what they did, they wasn't flying.
Caliber's a good company. It's a company on the rise. It's headquartered in Scottsdale. Their office is within a mile from where they are. The CEO lives in that neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So it was all lining up the right way. It wasn't like a big out-of-town developer coming in to build structures that nobody wanted, then they're going to go away and never see it again.
We talked about a couple weeks ago, Don, how similar projects got through, but this one didn't for some reason. We're
going to come to grips at some point with housing in Scottsdale. I don't know what the solution is or when we're going to do it, but the need is obvious.
Well, you and I were at an event last night. We were talking about homelessness, and what were they talking about? They were talking about affordable housing, right?
Everywhere in the valley, including Scottsdale.
It's a statewide problem.
It sure is.
Right?
Some people get it, some people don't, but the numbers just aren't adding up. As we continue to grow in the valley, and Scottsdale's kind of leveled out right now, so that's not really growing like it used to, or like the rest of the valley. We need houses. We need places for these people to live. the big chip company that's coming up and investing $40 billion in North Phoenix with 5,000 jobs where, they all need a place to live too.
Absolutely.
So we'll see where that goes. One last question. Have a little fun with this one.
All right.
Zip code. What do you think the highest zip code in Scottsdale is?
Well, it's not my
you probably
zip
know
code.
this, don't you?
It's probably up north, so 8526 something.
Keep going.
Zero, but zero will be the air park. Probably it'd be north of that. So 2-1, I don't know, 6-1?
6.2.
6-2?
6.2. Average price up there is 1.4 mil. It's the highest zip code in the state, basically, just behind Paradise Valley, which the 85253 zip code, which has a $2.9 million median price.
Is that north of DC Ranch?
I think it's as furthest
DC
north
Ranch?
as you get up there.
Yeah,
by
it's
Cave
further
Creek.
north.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
so
further
almost
north,
touching Cave Creek then?
Just about, yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of fun to see that and see how prices have changed a little bit. Talk about the Mercado and housing values and prices and so forth there. And there it is in a nutshell.
We have a good economy.
Yeah, we do. And we should be thankful for that. One of the reasons we do, because we have a really cool events team in the city. And Karen is with us today. Karen Churchard. She's been directing the tourism and events department since 2015. That does all the city. It promotes all the arts and culture stuff that we have happening here, all the downtown events and tourism. Provides services, support, funding for the development of tourism-related capital projects, events and event development, destination marketing. She kind of do it all. We're going to get into some of that today. Her department also manages the public event and film permitting process, and through contracts serves as the steward for the municipal collection of public art and cultural programming, like Scottsdale Arts, that kind of stuff, and does a lot of the marketing promotion in partnership with Experience Scottsdale. Karen is truly a tourism pro. Before that, she was the assistant deputy director for the Arizona Office of Tourism. She also was director of the Arizona Centennial Commission. Remember that back when Arizona had its centennial? That was really a big deal.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. Oh, my gosh. Is that right? Yeah, you're right. Oh, my. She also spent time working for the city of Glendale and this kind of work, and also the Arizona Tourism Alliance. Karen, welcome. You've done it all.
Thank you.
Wow. You're ramping up right now because we have a big season coming up. But before we get into that, talk a little bit about your career and your background, where you grew up, and how you got started in this career in the first place.
Sure. I grew up here in the Phoenix area, North Phoenix, very Scottsdale. Lived here for a few years after my college days at NAU.
NAU, okay.
And love this area. Obviously, never left. I just was always an organizer by nature growing up, and just loved events and kept score for my dad's Little League baseball team, and kept score for the NAU Lumberjacks when they had a men's baseball team as well.
Right.
And so always been interested in sports and events, and went off to NAU to get a degree in communications, and then realized that I could do a career in events, and did an internship with the Fiesta Bowl.
Wow, what an internship.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, and stayed with them for 21 years.
That's all?
Yep, that's all. And then I left and started my own company, Casey Productions, in 2002, and was quickly asked to put together the bid for the 2008 Super Bowl.
Good for you. Wow.
And bring at the time it was called the Elite Rock and Roll Marathon to the Valley.
Remember that.
So those were two main projects. And then from there, I just started going towards government, which was, different than nonprofit, but worked for the Tourism Alliance, and then was asked by Governor Napolitano at the time to come on to the state, work for the state and organize the Arizona Centennial for 2012.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
I remember how much planning went into that, and we were celebrating that, seemed like, for 5 or 6 years anyway.
Yes, it was a few years of celebrations, yes.
Talk a little bit about what you do with the city. What's your department look like? How many people you have? How do you operate? And then we'll start getting into some of the events that are coming up.
Sure. We have a small but mighty team. There's 6 of us, and we do all the special event permitting, as you mentioned in the opening, and film permitting. And we also do event development funding, which brings us to a lot of the major events that we have here in the city of Scottsdale. And we started creating, when I came on board, I was a little bit surprised that we didn't create events. So we've actually created Scottsdazzle, which is our holiday celebration. We're doing that right now, seventh year. And then we started Western Week, a promotional week with all of our historic Hash Knife Pony Express, the Prada del Sol Parade, brought the Arizona Indian Festival, which is an amazing event that was only done when we had a Super Bowl. Started in 96. They did it again in 08. They did it in 15. And Steve Gigama, my team, and I were able to work with the tribes and have them do it annually as part of Western Week. It's a phenomenal event we'll be back at the Civic Center this year in February. It's the day of the parade and the day after, so it's a Saturday, Sunday free event. But anyway, it was kind of interesting because when we started doing this promotion of Western Week, Joan Fadala reached out, what we call our Scottsdale historian, and she sent me an article 50 years ago where they called it Western Week. So we didn't really even realize that we were recreating something that was historic as well. So
pretty cool.
Very cool. And then we started June Days, which is a compilation of another promotion of just compiling all the great things that our merchants and businesses and restaurants are already doing. We always think it's too hot to put on an event. So we created June Days and just showcase all the amazing things that happen primarily in Old Town Scottsdale. And then now we're getting ready for our super season and Super Bowl.
I can't imagine any city in the country that has more going on in a short period of time, like one quarter of the year, with our super season than Scottsdale.
Yes,
it's going to be unbelievable. So here's what we got coming up. We've got the Super Bowl, of course, but we also have the mainstays: Barrett Jackson, the Waste Management Phoenix Open, the Arabian Horse Show, Parada del Sol you talked about, and then that culminates with spring training and a month of baseball here right down in downtown Scottsdale. What amazes me on these events is that we all, we're known for events. We all go to most of these events. We enjoy them and love them. But what we don't know, what we don't get a glimpse of, is all the work that's going on behind the scenes, sometimes maybe months or even years before the event happens. So why don't we just kind of check down one by one here as we get to this next busy quarter coming up and talk a little bit about some of the logistics that you have to deal with to make sure these events go off with success. Barrett Jackson probably is the first one to start with.
Yeah, Barrett Jackson, my department is not as actively involved in the planning because it's held at Westworld, and that's another department. But we do fund them. We do a matching marketing program with them. So we're closely related. We work on the promotional side. How are they promoting the city of Scottsdale, and above and beyond, obviously, the Barrett Jackson itself. And we have a great relationship with Craig Jackson and their team. But the work, really, the heavy load lift comes from the Westworld staff that they're already, right now getting ready to prepare for that. Obviously, it doesn't happen. We think about, okay, it starts the third week of January, but they're already working towards getting that set up and ready.
That makes sense, yeah.
Just like the Phoenix Open,
right?
2 months ago. Here we are, it's in December. 2 months ago, they started building the infrastructure for the Waste Management Phoenix Open. And people don't think about it, but if you're a golfer, you're pretty much, if you're golfing at that course for a good 6 months, if not longer, there's something going on preparing for the Phoenix, either putting it up or taking it down.
You're right.
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
Up or down.
Yeah,
Yep.
You play 2 weeks afterwards, and the infrastructure in hole 16 still, a lot of it's still there.
It's still
the
there,
skeletal part of it is,
It takes a long time. And this year, I think was it last year they started doing a concert on 16?
Yes.
A week beforehand?
Yep. They're doing it the Saturday night of the February 4th, which is the same day as Parada del Sol parade. So we've got,
my goodness.
We've got the parade in the morning and the concert at night.
I'm going to be tired that day.
You're going to be, tired and maybe another word for the next morning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what about the Phoenix Open? What kind of work do you have to do there? Same thing, just working in tandem with the Thunderbirds? Or how does that work?
We do get involved in that because they're using a space it's a different purpose. It's not just to play golf. So we are involved in the permitting and the application process, working closely with risk management, police, of course, fire. Streets and transportation is a huge part of it because of all the traffic that does create. So we're more involved in that. It's a huge lift for our public safety.
Just thinking about that.
Yeah, because you think, we have 240,000 people who live in Scottsdale. And although the Thunderbirds no longer give numbers, we know but 4 or 5 years ago, they would give you numbers of 650,000 people. So it's 2-3 times almost the size of our city. So it takes a huge lift for the police and fire to be out there. In fact, it's interesting with the super season that we're reaching out to other municipalities to help us with public safety for like the ESPN Main Street tailgate and some of the activities that will be happening. That we will be hosting the AFC team in Scottsdale. So one of our other municipalities will be working with that team.
Do other event departments in these other cities cooperate pretty well with you guys? And then likewise, do you help them out when they need it?
We don't really do a lot of that. That's an interesting idea that I hadn't really thought. I actually am. I serve as the incoming president of the International Festival and Events Association, international group, and we have a lot of cities that are members, and we have a lot of affinity groups, but not here right locally.
Interesting.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe we hash an idea for it.
Yeah, no
Yes.
kidding.
Yeah.
Karen, I want to ask you a question about going back to what you were talking about a moment ago. You said that you work with risk management. How do you permit an event that didn't exist 2 years ago? That's a big event, a big concert there, using it for, like you said, using the golf course for other purposes than what was intended. That's got to be an interesting process, I bet.
Yeah, it's really the coordination between the risk management department, which is under our city attorney, the public safety, the fire plays a big role, huge role in the infrastructure of the open, and then of course the concert. That they already have the infrastructure there for 16th hole. It's brilliant, I think, that they came up with this idea to do a concert.
Yeah.
Because it's another use and a really cool venue that's created that's so unique.
Yeah, I wonder if other golf tournaments would have thought about that idea now.
I don't think so. I don't know of any other golf tournament that does the type of infrastructure. I mean, ours is definitely very unique.
Yeah.
Over the top. Think about all the crazy stuff at the Phoenix Open. It's over. It's unbelievable over the top.
I just never thought about how would you go about permitting something like that. So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, plus all the infrastructure that goes behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, the police have to staff it. Fire's got to be on standby. Things happen,
It is something to really, when you start thinking about it, because we have what we call our special events team, and our team is comprised of police, fire, risk, special events, my department. They all look at things, streets and transportation, and they are all looking at their piece of what that event needs to consider, and to permit it. That do we have enough police officers? Is the liability taken care of? Are all the tents and propane gases and all those things, are they proper through the fire? So there's each of them has their expertise. It's a great group.
Let's get into the jewel of the season, and that's the Super Bowl. It's played in Glendale, so it's a Glendale. We played in Glendale, but I always think of it as a Scottsdale event more than anything else, just because we end up attracting so much of the fun stuff that goes with it, including the SPN deal. But what's it been like to prepare for the Super Bowl? You've been through this a couple times now, including when you were in Glendale. I went to the game back in '95, and I can still remember it back in Scottsdale Stadium. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's because the Steelers were there.
Steelers Cowboys. Yeah, of course.
Should have figured that one.
But boy, it's taken on a brand new approach since then. And Sun Devil Stadium was not the best place to have a Super Bowl, whatever. But now we've got the great stadium in Glendale, but we've got the great events in Scottsdale. What's been going on in your life for the Super Bowl over the past, I don't know, how many months? Past year, past 2 years, past 6 years?
We started planning over a year ago, because one of the things that we really focused on is what types of projects did we want to have happen prior to the Super Bowl. Things that we've not always, but we've known for a while that need to be accomplished. And so it was a great opportunity for us to really focus our mainly public works and community services. And I led that with Bill Murphy, our assistant city manager, and just really coming up with, I actually brought the copy here with me today, like 50 plus projects that we identified that we needed to make sure we were planning through the budget process. Because we're starting our budget process right now for 23-24.
Right.
I shouldn't even say starting, it's almost finished. And then it goes through the formal process with the council. So we had to start that long ago to make sure that we put in budget packages for our current fiscal year, which fortunately city manager Jim Thompson approved, and the council ultimately approved it back in June. So and then April of this year, we put together there are 21 departments are represented in 3 of our partners, and we've been meeting monthly, again, just to prepare not only the projects, but the marketing and the promotions, and just thinking about, all of our maps online up to date, and just really getting things spruced up and making sure that we've dotted all of our, I's and crossed our T's So
the 52 projects, just rattle off a couple of them so we get an idea of what you're talking about. What are some of the big projects you've had to do to kind of clean up the city or shine it up a little bit for the big crowd?
Well, the biggest one that was the bond project for the Civic Center.
Right.
That right from out of the gate, when the timing was just right to say, hey, this is something the community said they wanted Civic Center to be a better special event venue, and if we're going to do it, let's do it now. So that's our biggest project. That's getting finally to that point where you can really see the vision there. It's going to be spectacular. But then it just goes down to adding more decomposed granite throughout our landscape, and updating our landscape, and we're getting new flower pots and new benches, and our signage. We're redoing our signage and painting things. We're painting the Marshall Way Bridge that hasn't been painted since it was built. And we're getting ready. Unfortunately, our big new public art piece by Barbara Gagaridis, Under Drinkwater Boulevard,
right?
That unfortunately won't be ready for Super Bowl.
That's
but we're
the painting, right?
She's doing the aluminum knots.
Oh, okay, yeah.
On each side of underneath the boulevard. It's gonna be stunning.
Yeah.
But just supply chain issues have caused some delay with that. But I've just met today with the painting company, and we're going to get it all prepped and painted, so that will all be fresh and new. We're getting new Civic Center signage, just all kinds of things like that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Is any other city, maybe Phoenix, maybe not, any other city doing this kind of sprucing up for the big crowds that are coming in?
Yes.
Are they?
I don't know exactly what they're doing,
Yeah.
but like talking to the painters today, they said they're doing a ton of painting right now in Glendale.
Really? Okay.
Around the
Yeah.
stadium and
Yeah.
then around the airport. So they know that some of these cities are really looking at the opportunity to get things in shiny.
But after the Super Bowl's over, most of the tourists aren't going to say, we're going back to Glendale. They're going to say, no, we're going back to Scottsdale. That's where all the action is, right? So, I mean, this is a really ground central for tourism for Scottsdale.
It sure is. So much so that this year we created, with Experience Scottsdale, our destination marketing organization, we created Scottsdale Super Season. We have a logo and a promotion that starts, I think it started this week. That will be a national promotion talking about all the super events that we have in this first quarter of 2023.
Wow. Karen, I had a question I was going to ask you all day long. I've been thinking about asking this question, but you kind of answered it, I think, without even being asked a question. That is, how do you overlap or work with Experience Scottsdale? I think, let me see if you answer my own question. I figured it out by myself, and that is, you're more event-driven, and I think they drive tourism to the Scottsdale, but you do the actual events. They're not involved in the specific events that you mentioned. Is that right?
Yeah, that would be correct. Yeah, basically. And then I always look at it, I call it product development. The city is the one that needs to really create the product with our merchants and our vendors and our event producers, so that they can promote that product. We do marketing for Old Town Scottsdale specific in the Valley, and we're very clear about that too, because we spend another $500,000 promoting this area. We branded it and have a new logo that, well, it's not new anymore. It's about 5 years old.
True.
But we do that on an annual basis. Jackie Condaldo on my staff spearheads that. We have an ad agency. But we're very clear that we don't market outside of the Valley of the Sun, because that's the responsibility of Experience Scottsdale.
Okay.
So they promote Old Town Scottsdale nationally and internationally while we're promoting it in the Valley. We want to keep Old Town Scottsdale top of mind with our residents that live in the metropolitan area.
I ran into the mayor the other day, and he was wearing an Old Town branded jacket. And
Was
it
he?
was really cool. Yeah, it was a really cool looking jacket.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wonder if you can buy that. Anybody can buy one of those. Be kind of fun.
We don't sell them, but I have them.
Oh, hey, don't tell anybody. That's going to be
We have
our
a little
secret.
stash of those, yeah.
Do you have any Super Bowl tickets?
No.
Yeah,
I can answer
of
that
course
for you.
not. Of course not.
I'll
Yeah,
answer that for you.
let's put that one out, right? Yeah, that's funny. Everybody asks all the time. So, anything else in the Super Bowl that we haven't covered that you've been really working hard on?
Well, just today, we've got the LVII Roman numerals. The Arizona Super Bowl Host Committee reached out to all the cities and offered us the opportunity to purchase these from Blue Media. And it just was delivered. I just was there before I came in here today.
Very cool.
It's on the corner of Fifth Avenue and Marshall Way, and it's they're spectacular. You can stand behind it and take selfies. And there's a Super Bowl Host Committee is doing a promotion starting this this Saturday. It's 57 days before the 57th Super Bowl.
Super Bowl
and then the
57.
LVII represents 57.
Yeah, Heinz
So, very
57.
cool. Yeah, that too.
Again, Pittsburgh. Always going to the Pittsburgh thing. That guy is.
I'm always looking. The Arabian Horse Show, that's probably more of a Westworld thing too. So you
Yes,
guys are
it
just
is.
on the edges of that.
And we have a matching marketing program
you?
with them. So
Okay.
we do work with Terrell and her team there. Yes.
But Prada del Sol, that's one of your babies right
Yeah,
there, right?
Prodigal Soul. Yeah,
That's a good one.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that Charles stepped in to really help keep that parade. It's the only parade we have in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
And it's historic, obviously, 68th year coming up, and we're very proud of that event. And then, of course, the Hash Knife Pony Express. If you haven't seen that come in, it's very it's interesting. It's such a cool event. Feels very American too.
Yeah,
it's just really cool how they come in with the American flag and all the Arizona state flag, and they bring the mail from all these kids throughout Arizona that have sent in postcards, and it's a very endearing event we love. And of course, then they're a part of the parade. And then the Arizona Indian Festival I mentioned earlier, a lot of the tribal entities bring in their royalty, their significant cultural dancers and horsebacks, and so there's a lot of cool entries in the parade, as well as what's happening on the Civic Center, which is very authentic.
Yeah, that's cool. Kevin's a MC, man, right?
I get to pronounce those dignitaries from all the different tribal nations, and it's a mouthful. It's a challenge.
Do you get a chance to look at them so you can practice them first?
A little bit before, not very long before, maybe an hour before.
Yeah.
So I wish that's a good idea. I should give the script in advance so I could reach out and make sure I'm pronouncing. One time I mispronounced it and somebody got upset with me.
Oh, really?
They came and let me know.
Oh, no.
And pointed out that I
Serious,
mispronounced it, and I
Well,
apologized.
what can you do?
But yeah, anyway, but that's a lot of fun.
Happens to a bunch of. I think he's probably the MC star in the whole parade. People kind of flock around him to hear what he's going to say. So he's just doing his chops over there. So that works out pretty well. And then
Do you go to the same location every year? Or you
Pretty consistently, yeah. The first couple of years we bounced around, but now we locked in on a location we like, and so we've been given that location every year. It's near the end, right on Brown Avenue.
Oh, nice.
So
That is
it's
a good
one of the last stops.
So he's earned that as the star
That's
MC
great.
of the parade, so he gets the stop spot. What's next? The Rose Bowl parade?
We'll talk about that
Talk about
later.
later. And then we get a full spring training slate this year. Knock on wood that nothing happens between now and February, March, right? And we haven't had one for a couple of years. So what's your role in guiding, working with the Charos and guiding us through 5 or 6 weeks of spring training?
Yeah, we that's run by our Scottsdale Stadium staff in Parks and Recreation. But again, we work with them to do some co-promotions in Old Town. We do lapel pins and posters and just some assets there. This year we're working with a local group that's going to create an exhibit in the Civic Center library that will be up during. So we're trying to do more of the promotional side. But we also, this year, I don't know if you heard, but the Savannah Bananas.
Oh, right.
Heard of the Savannah Bananas?
Yes.
Wait a minute. What?
The Savannah Bananas are going to be playing in Scottsdale Stadium 4 days after the spring training
Oh,
ends.
that'd be fun.
Are you kidding?
And we've been coordinating that with the San Francisco Giants. It's a part of a.
Who are they going to play?
Well, I don't really understand who they play. I think they bring the team they play. Does that make sense?
Like the Globetrotters used to play the Washington team?
It's something very similar to that. But they're playing here in Scottsdale first, and then the next day they're playing in Peoria.
Are you familiar with the Savannah Bananas?
Those guys are crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they have some kind of interesting rules for the game.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's total
Very
entertainment.
fun.
That'd be fun.
And they're going
That's a blast.
national because they've been so wildly successful.
Right.
They have like 8 million followers on Instagram.
Some kind of crazy number like that. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Wow.
if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, and Karen, help me out here. They play baseball, and it's a professional baseball team, Savannah, and I don't know what division they're in or league they're in. I think it's like A. It's down there a little bit, but they have some interesting rules. They've kind of modified the rules of the game, and I can't remember off the top of my head what they are. Like something like there are no foul balls.
There's no foul balls.
No foul balls. So you can catch it as whenever if a ball's in play and you catch it, it's an out.
And I think it's timed. There's like a solely played for so long, and then it just ends. It's not.
Yeah. And then Yeah, they have a couple rules to speed the game up, make it a little more exciting.
And more fun.
Yeah.
Way entertaining.
Yeah, I like it. I like it, all of it.
And they are dressed in bright yellow,
Yeah.
head to toe.
Yeah. They had a lot of fun. I'm gonna go. I'm make sure I'll be at that game.
Got it. See, I didn't know they were coming either. That's fantastic.
And I've had people ask me, how can I get tickets? So it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then another event that didn't make the super season because it's brand new too is the Arizona Concours de Elegance. It's a high end like $1 million cars.
Yeah, right.
And they're going to be the first event at Civic Center on January 22nd. So they'll be in line with the Barrett Jackson show.
Will that be the new sort of the new use of the Civic Center? They're going to kind of be the first big event there.
They're going to be the first. It's a private event, so it's ticketed.
Okay.
But they'll be the first event that's held, and then the following couple weeks later will be the Arizona Indian Festival, which is a free event.
Yeah.
And then we plan to do a grand opening of the Civic Center the first week of April. So that will even tack on to this super season. We're just going to keep going.
We're just talking 3 months here.
I know.
We're not even out of March yet.
I love the super season phrase or slogan. That's great because it really describes what it really is.
I can't believe there's any city anywhere. I mean, with the exception maybe of Las Vegas or something, that does more of these kind of first class major league events in 3 months' time than Scottsdale. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we were out to dinner the other night with some friends who were considering moving to Scottsdale from out of state, and we started talking about all the events that we're getting ready to kick off coming up soon, and we're just like, this is our favorite part of the year because this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. It's just every single weekend there's something to do. And we didn't even mention, because that's probably not really, because but all the festivals, the taco festival, the craft beer festival, the strong beer festival.
Every weekend.
Right? Every weekend there's something going on.
Yeah, the 12th annual Thunderbird Arts and Wine Festival is happening the same weekend as the Prada del Sol Parade down at the canal, the Arizona Canal.
God, I wish I was living in a place that wasn't so boring.
Right?
Well, and I wonder what all the Super Bowl party things that are going to happen with I mean, I saw something with Shaq is coming
and
here.
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg.
Snack. Yeah, snack.
I
Just
got you.
combine them.
Shaq and Snoop Dogg.
Snack. Snack's gonna have a Snoop Dogg. Go with Snack. Well, we'll keep going with that one.
Yeah.
But that's going to be, I think, on the reservation over at the Salt River Fields. How cool is that?
Yeah.
And plus, how many other? That's the other thing about the Super Bowl. We've seen this over the past couple of times when we've hosted the Super Bowl here. All these little private parties that with all of the superstars in every walk of life, entertainment, sports, whatever, all going to be right here. A lot of it in Scottsdale, right in our own backyard. Yep. So cool. So cool. What are you going to do for the rest of the year? Sleep.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing along. Get Scottsdale will come into a kind of an end and have a little bit of break for Christmas and New Year's, and then we'll be back at it.
Try to catch a couple of days, a couple of nights of good sleep in there before you get going too much further, huh? Karen, thank you for all that you're doing. It's amazing. Do you have any more questions for her?
No, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Enriching our community.
Totally, that's what it's all about. It's
my honor. Thank you.
Scottsdale is known for that, and it's people like that behind the scenes, behind the curtain, doing all this work that never gets any kind of real public accolades, except for those of us who know it.
That's what we do, don't we, Don?
We do.
That we like to shine a light.
We do.
Right.
People doing great things for our city, and that's a perfect example of what Karen's doing. Do you have a Scottsdale Analytics this week?
I don't, unfortunately.
You don't? You're going to go without it? I'm having withdrawals.
I
here,
know.
Man.
My work schedule's been crazy.
That's okay. I gave you a little bit of an option with the median house price and the zip code and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
You kind of
okay with
some analytics on your own.
I'm okay with you. Yeah. Well, we'll do it next week.
Yeah,
we'll get back to it. We're going to take a couple weeks off during the holidays, but we'll be back in full force in January for the new year, and when all these events start happening that Karen's going to make come off so successfully in Scottsdale, we'll be able to enjoy those and come back and talk to you about them as well. Karen, thank you so much. Good luck going forward into the super season, and thanks to all of you for listening. We look forward to being back with you again for our next edition of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale.